Okay. ഇനി ആ എൻറോൾമെന്റ് നമ്പർ പേരും തരാത്ത ആൾക്കാർ ഒന്ന് എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം, എത്രയും പെട്ടെന്ന് എന്ത് ചെയ്യണം, ഒന്ന് മെസ്സേജ് ബോക്സിൽ ഇട്ടണേ. ഓക്കെ, ഞാൻ ക്ലാസ്സിന്റെ ഇടയിലായതുകൊണ്ട് എനിക്കാകെ 3 മാത്രമേ എൻ്റെ കയ്യിലുള്ളൂ. ഓക്കെ, അഭിഷേക് ടമുലി, ഓക്കെ, he did. Then Yashwant K, okay, he also provided. Then Smita Sukumaran, okay, only 3 people. Okay, Sandeep, then okay, please give your okay enrollment number and the name. Okay, audible അല്ലേ? കേൾക്കുന്നുണ്ടല്ലോ? ഹലോ.
Yes sir, audible.
Okay, okay. അപ്പോൾ അതാ എന്താണ് എൻറോൾമെന്റ് നമ്പറും പേരും തരാത്ത ആൾക്കാർ ഒന്ന് പെട്ടെന്ന് തരാം, പെട്ടെന്നാണ്.
Okay, okay.
അനുശ്രീ, ഓക്കെ, അനുശ്രീ തന്നിട്ടില്ല. ഓക്കെ, സ്മിത സുകുമാരൻ തന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. യശ്വന്ത്, എത്ര ആൾക്കാരാണ് തന്നത്? ഓക്കെ, സന്ദീപ് ജി, ഓക്കെ, പ്ലീസ് യുവർ എൻറോൾമെന്റ് നമ്പർ സന്ദീപ്. അത് പിന്നെ ഒരു റിയൽമി 6 എന്ന് കാണുന്നുണ്ട്, അദ്ദേഹം ആരാന്ന് എനിക്ക് അറിയില്ല, അതുകൊണ്ടാണ്.
സർ ഞാനാണ്, ഒരു മിനിറ്റ്, ഞാൻ പുറത്തായിരുന്നു, ഞാൻ തരാം.
ഓക്കെ, സന്ദീപ് ജി, ഓക്കെ, സന്ദീപിന്റെ എൻറോൾമെന്റ് നമ്പർ കൂടി കിട്ടിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. 9198286632. ഓക്കെ, ഇനി നിങ്ങൾ കൂടി ഇന്ന് തന്നാൽ വളരെ ഉപകാരമായിരുന്നു. റിയൽമി 6, ആളെ പേരറിയാത്തതുകൊണ്ടാണ്, വെറുതെ വിചാരിക്കല്ലേ.
നോ പ്രോബ്ലം, നോ പ്രോബ്ലം.
നിങ്ങൾ പേര് പറഞ്ഞോളൂ, നമ്പറും പറഞ്ഞോളൂ, നോ പ്രോബ്ലം. ടൈപ്പ് ചെയ്യാൻ ബുദ്ധിമുട്ടാണെങ്കിൽ പറഞ്ഞാൽ മതി, ഞാൻ നോട്ട് ചെയ്തോളാം.
ഞാൻ അയക്കുന്നുണ്ട് സർ. ഞാൻ
ഓക്കെ, ആയിക്കോട്ടെ, ഫൈൻ. യെസ്. ഓക്കെ, കാണാലോ? യെസ്. അപ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ എന്താണ്? യെസ്, the land is used for keeping the land is used for a store place or a reserve place for keeping seeds or to keep agricultural implements like tractors, trillers, or harvesting machines, something like that. Okay, or we give our agricultural land for then for example leasing, for example leasing of agriculture producers, not leasing of quarrying or mining, something like that. Okay, then this is the classic examples for agricultural income. And next we have to understand what is meant by partly agricultural income. What is meant by partly agricultural income? For example, suppose a tea company, okay, which plants tea buds or tea nurseries and breed it and finally harvest it, and the income income generated from this cultivation or plantation, the whole income should be treated as in the following manner. That means 60% of the income of the company should be treated as an agricultural income, and 40% is a non-agricultural income or business income. Okay, business income. Just like that, sugar company also. If suppose a sugar plantation company or a sugarcane cultivating company, the total income of the company should be treated as market value of the sugarcane. Treated as agricultural income, and the rest income shall be treated as business income. Okay, in case of tea company, tea case 60% total income, company total income എത്രയാണോ ആ ടോട്ടൽ ഇൻകത്തിന്റെ 60% അഗ്രികൾച്ചർ ഇൻകം ആയിട്ടും പരിഗണിക്കുക, 40% എന്തായിട്ടും പരിഗണിക്കുക, ബിസിനസ് ഇൻകം ആയിട്ടും പരിഗണിക്കുക. ഷുഗർ കെയിന്റെ കേസിൽ ടോട്ടൽ ഇൻകം ഓഫ് ദ ഷുഗർ കെയിൻ കമ്പനി, market price of the sugar cane should be treated as agricultural income. Balance income from the total income should be treated as a business income. Okay, then coffee. In case of a coffee company, and the coffee are grown, cured and roasted by the company itself. In such a case, 75% of the total income received by the company. 75% of the company. 75% of the total income received by the company should be treated as agricultural income. 25% should be treated as a business income. 25 should be treated as a business income. And the coffee is grown. And the coffee is grown and cured by the company, not roasted. If the coffee is grown and cured by the company, if the coffee is grown, if the coffee is grown, if the coffee is grown and roasted by the company, roasted, if the coffee is grown and cured by the company, not roasted. In such a case, total income of the company, in such a case, total income of the company, in such a case, 60% of the total income should be treated as 60% of the total income should be treated as a agricultural income. 40% should be treated as a business income. And in case of a rubber, sinex or latex, in such a case, total 65% of the total income of the company, 65% of the total income of the company should be treated as a agricultural income, and 35% should be treated as a business income. 35% should be treated as a business income. This is about a partly agricultural income. Partly agricultural income. Okay. In the textbook, all the rates are clearly exhibited. You can read and work out. Okay, fine. So you can expect this type of questions on your examination, in your examination. So please get ready and prepare. Okay, fine. This is about agricultural income. Okay, next we have to understand what is meant by casual income. Okay, this is also asked in the last examination. I think it is asked in question number 6, question number C, question number C. Okay, concept of casual income. Casual income means unexpected. That means without any, this is the income in the nature of accidentally or without any pre-expectation. Okay, so suppose we are walking on a road and we get a lost article. Okay, it is a casual income. Okay, sometimes or another example, suppose Mr. A who took a lottery ticket yesterday, and on the next day he is awarded with a lottery prize. Okay, it is a casual income. Okay, this type of income is called a casual income. Okay, in case of a casual income, it should be taxable at 30%. It should be taxable at 30%. When we engaged with a betting or gambling or card game, this type of every activities shall come under the term casual income. Okay, yes. Yes. For example, some examples of casual income: accidentally or fruitless receipts of money won lotteries, crossword puzzles, card games, receipt of remuneration for acting as an arbitrator in disputes. Okay. Then when we appearing for or when we prepare for examination, you have to study the term what is casual income, and you have to study some or 1 to 4 or 1 or 2 or 3 examples also for the term casual income. Okay, yes. Some items should not be treated as a casual income. Okay, first one is any amount paid under an agreement, like payments by husband to his wife under an agreement to part as maintenance allowance. Okay, suppose couples they are divorced, or they have agreed to live apart, and the husband gave assurance to wife. That means after our divorce, after our separation, I will give you some substance elements or maintenance elements. Okay, the income, this type of income received by wife shall not be treated as a casual income. Okay, it is expected because it is clearly understood, it is clearly illustrated, or it is clearly exhibited as a part of agreement. Okay, then the second one is capital gain or receipt accrued in any business or profession. Then receipts like bonus or gratuity perquisites. Okay, it will come under as a part of a job agreement. Okay, then capital and revenue receipts. Okay, in case of income tax, capital expenditure and capital revenue should not be considered. That means we do not get any exemption. We do not get any exemption for a capital receipts. Okay, dear students, just 2 minutes. Okay, just 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes. I will rejoin. Just 2 minutes. Okay. In case of income tax, we cannot claim any capital expenditure for the reduction of our total income. Okay. Likewise, we do not, we cannot mention about the capital revenue also, capital income also. Okay. In the income tax, okay, we consider only revenue expenditure and revenue payments, or revenue receipts and revenue payments. We consider only revenue payments and revenue income. We cannot consider, or we cannot give any exemption to capital expenditure and capital receipts. Okay. Then we know that what is capital expenditure? Expenditure in connection with the purchase of an asset or a replacement of an asset, something like that. At the same time, capital receipts means income generated by the way of sale of an asset or exchange of an asset, something like that. Okay. When we come into capital revenue expenditure, okay, we are much bothered about revenue. Lot of examples with revenue receipt or revenue payments. For example, purchase of goods, payment of salary, payment of bonus, or a payment of commission, payment of electricity charges. Okay, all these expenditure will come under the term revenue payments. At the same time, when we receives income so by way of sales, or we receive a commission, or we receive a interest. Okay, all these income will constitute revenue, or will come under revenue receipts. In income tax, we consider only revenue payments and revenue receipts. Okay, we cannot claim any exemption, or we cannot claim any amount for capital expenditure. At the same time, we can avail, or we can claim depreciation. We can claim depreciation, and we cannot claim any capital expenditure. Okay, this is about it. Okay. Next, residential status and tax liability. Income Tax Act clearly defines a person who is liable to pay tax on the basis of his receipt of income and residential status. Residential status. Okay. Normally, in case of an individual, we can classify a residential status as ordinary resident, not ordinarily resident, and non-resident. In case of an individual, when we deal with the term person, we studied individual, HF, partnership firm, company, cooperative society, and every artificial judicial person. Okay. Then when we deal with the individual, in case of an individual, there are three residential status: ordinarily resident, not ordinarily resident, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ non-resident. Okay, ordinarily resident, not ordinarily resident, non-resident. If an individual who satisfies any one of the two basic conditions and both the additional condition. If an individual who satisfies any one of the two basic conditions, and both the additional conditions, he is said to be a ordinarily resident. He is said to be a ordinarily resident. And if an individual who satisfies any one of the two basic conditions, and he does not satisfy both the additional conditions, he is said to be a not ordinarily resident. He is said to be a not ordinarily resident. And an individual who does not satisfy any one of the two basic conditions and both the additional conditions, he is a non-resident. Clear ആയിട്ടില്ലെങ്കിൽ പറയണേ, ഈ ഭാഗത്തുനിന്ന് ക്വസ്റ്റ്യൻസ് ചോദിക്കാറുള്ളതാണ്, മനസ്സിലായിട്ടെങ്കിൽ പറയണം. Okay, yes, once again I will repeat it. If an individual who satisfies any one of the two basic conditions and both the additional condition, he is said to be a ordinarily resident. And an individual who satisfies any one of the two basic conditions and does not satisfy both the additional condition, he is a not ordinarily resident. And an individual who does not satisfy any one of the two basic conditions and both the additional conditions, he is a non-resident. Then next question is, what are the basic conditions and what are the additional conditions? Okay. Then basic condition means he has been in India. First basic condition is he has been in India for a period of 182 days or more during the previous year. He had been in India, or he has been in India for a period of 182 days or more during the previous year. He has been in India for a period of 182 days or more during the previous year. Okay, this is the first basic condition. And the next basic condition is he had been in India for a period of, or he must be in India for a period of 60 days, or more during the relevant previous year, and he had been in India for a period of 365 days or more during 4 years, immediately preceding the relevant previous year. Okay, yes. അപ്പോൾ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു വ്യക്തി, അതായത് വ്യക്തി കൊണ്ട് ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നത് ഇൻഡിവിജ്വൽ ആണ്, ആണാകാം, പെണ്ണാകാം, ട്രാൻസ്ജെൻഡർ ആകാം. ഓക്കെ, അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ പ്രീവിയസ് ഇയർ നമ്മൾ ഓൾറെഡി പഠിച്ചു 2019-20. We have already understand which is the previous, that is 2019-20. So a person, that means an individual, whether he or she or a transgender. Okay, an individual, he must be in India for a period of 182 days or more during 2019-20. Or that means a person who who had not been in India for a period of 182 days or more, 182 days. So we can approach it to next basic condition. That means we should check whether he must be in India for a period of 60 days or more during the previous year. Then he had been in India for a period of, he has in India for a period of, he had in India for a period of 60 days. Okay, fine. Then next we should check he had been in India for whether he had been in India for a period of 365 days or more. He had been in India for a period of 365 days more or more during the 4 years, preceding the relevant previous year. During the 4 years preceding the relevant previous year. During the 4 years preceding the relevant previous year. That means during the 4 years immediately preceding, during the 4 years preceding the relevant previous year. Our previous year is 2019-20. So preceding 4 years means 2018-19, 2017-18, 2016-17, and 2015-16. Okay, these are the 4 years immediately preceding the relevant previous year. So we should check whether an individual must be in India for a period of 365 days during 4 years. That means 2015, 16, 16, 17, 18, 18, 19. Clear? Understand? Okay, can you follow me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So if anybody fulfills any one of the two these basic conditions, he is a not ordinarily resident. He is a not ordinarily resident. When he fulfills both the additional conditions also, his grade or he will become ordinarily resident. He will become ordinarily resident. So we can see what are the basic conditions. Okay. Basic conditions we know there are two. Likewise, additional conditions also two. Okay, additional conditions also two. First additional condition is he has been in India. He has been in India as a resident. He has been in India. He has been in India as a resident at least 2 years out of the 10 years preceding the previous year. He has been in India for a period of 2 years out of 10 years preceding the relevant previous year. He has been in India for a period of 2 years out of 10 years preceding the relevant previous year. That means our previous year is 2019-20. So preceding the 10 years, that means 18-19, 17-18, 16-17, 15-16, 14-15, 13-14, 12-13, 11 and 12. Okay, 10-11. Okay, these are the 10 previous preceding. These are the preceding 10 previous years. Okay, of these preceding years, he has been as a resident. He has been in India as a resident at least any 2 years. At least any 2 years. Okay, he had been in India in 2018-19 and 2012-13. Or he had been in India 2014-15 and 2016-17. Okay, no need of consecutive years. No need of consecutive years. No need of consecutive years. Okay, at least any two. At least any two preceding the. At least any two of the. At least any two out of the 10 years preceding the relevant previous. This is the first additional condition. And the second additional condition is he had been in India for a period of 730 days or more. He had been in India for a period of 730 days or more during 7 years. During 7 years preceding the previous year. During 7 years preceding the previous year. That means the second additional condition is he had been in India for a period of 730 days or more. 730 is the sum of 2 years. That means in a year, we know that there are 365 days. 365 plus 365 is equal to 730. Okay. Okay. So he had been in India for a period of 730 days. 730 days during the 7 years, not in a single year or not by 2 years. Okay. Not by 3 years. Okay. He can fulfill or he could be in India. He could be in India for a period of or he might have stayed. He might have stayed by 7 years for a period of 730 days. Okay. During the previous year. So preceding the relevant previous year. Okay. This is about the additional conditions. So an individual who satisfies any one of the basic conditions. There are 2 basic conditions. Of these 2 basic conditions, an individual who satisfies one basic condition and both these additional conditions, he is a ordinarily resident. He is a ordinarily resident. And a person who satisfies basic condition only and not the additional conditions, then he is a not ordinarily resident. He is a not ordinarily resident. And a person, that means an individual who does not satisfy any of the basic condition and both the additional conditions, he is a non-resident. So an individual will become non-resident if he has not been in India for a period of 182 days or more during the previous year, or he must not be in India for a period of 60 days or more during the previous year, and he had not been in India for a period of 365 days or more during 4 years preceding the relevant previous year. Clear? Okay. Then exception to basic condition. Suppose an individual being an origin of India or a citizen of India, he is a member of a ship. He is a crew member of a ship, or he left India for employment purpose. In his case, he must be in India for a period of 182 days, not 60 days. That means a person who is a crew member of an Indian ship, or he left India for employment, his case, in such a case, he should be in India for a period of 182 days, not 60 days, not 60 days. Okay. And second one is a person who is not an Indian origin. He comes to India for a visit. His case also, he must be in India for a period of 182 days, not a period of 60 days. Okay. അപ്പോൾ അതായത് ഇന്ത്യക്കാരനായ ഒരു വ്യക്തി, അദ്ദേഹം കപ്പലിലെ ജോലിക്കാരനാണ്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരാൾ ഇന്ത്യക്ക് പുറത്ത് പോയത് ജോലി ആവശ്യാർത്ഥമാണെന്ന് സങ്കല്പിക്കാം. ഇവർ രണ്ടാൾക്കാരുടെ കേസിലും നമ്മൾ എത്ര ദിവസം തന്നെ നോക്കണോ? അതായത് ഒന്നാമത്തെ ബേസിക് കണ്ടീഷൻ തന്നെയാണ് നോക്കേണ്ടത്. ഏത് നോക്കിയിട്ട് കാര്യമില്ല, രണ്ടാമത്തെ ബേസിക് കണ്ടീഷൻ നോക്കിയിട്ട് കാര്യമില്ല. അതേപോലെ തന്നെ ഇന്ത്യക്കാരനല്ലാത്ത ഒരു ചങ്ങായി പിന്നെ എന്ത് ചെയ്യുന്നത്, ഇന്ത്യയിൽ വർഷാവർഷം ഏതിന് വരുന്നു, ടൂറിന് വരുന്നു എന്ന് സങ്കല്പിക്കാം. അപ്പൊ അയാളെ കേസിലും അയാൾ 182 ദിവസം തന്നെ ഇവിടെ താമസിക്കണോ? ഇന്ത്യയിൽ താമസിക്കണം. അല്ലാതെ 60 ദിവസം താമസിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് അയാളെ പിടിച്ച് നമ്മൾ എന്താക്കരുത്, റെസിഡന്റ് ആക്കരുത്. ഓക്കെ, ക്ലിയർ ആണല്ലോ? യെസ്. ഓക്കെ, യെസ്. അപ്പോ ഇതിന്റെ പ്രോബ്ലം ഒക്കെ ചിലപ്പോൾ ചോദിക്കാൻ സാധ്യത, പ്രോബ്ലം പറഞ്ഞു തരുന്നുണ്ട്, പക്ഷെ എന്താണ് നിലവിൽ അതിന് സമയമില്ല, അതുകൊണ്ടാണ്. ഓക്കെ, യെസ്. ഇനി ഇൻഡിവിജ്വലിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിട്ട് 3 സ്റ്റാറ്റസ് ആണ് ഞാൻ നിങ്ങളോട് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഓക്കെ, ഇതേപോലെ തന്നെ ആർക്കുണ്ട്? HUF-നുണ്ട്. ഓക്കെ, HUF-ന്റെ കേസിൽ 3 സ്റ്റാറ്റസ് ഉണ്ടാവും. ഓർഡിനറി റെസിഡന്റ്, നോട്ട് ഓർഡിനറി റെസിഡന്റ്, നോൺ റെസിഡന്റ്. ഓർഡിനറി റെസിഡന്റ്, നോട്ട് ഓർഡിനറി റെസിഡന്റ്, നോൺ റെസിഡന്റ്. Okay. സാധാരണഗതിയിൽ HUF-നെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിട്ട് okay, HUF is purely under the control of Karta. Karta means the elder member of the family or the manager of the family. Okay. So depends upon the Karta's status, HUF will become ordinarily resident or not ordinarily resident or a non-resident. Okay. HUF will become ordinarily resident. HUF will become ordinary resident when if the control and management of its affairs is wholly or partly situated in India during the previous year. That means every HUF, okay, their main source of income about the HUF, their main source of income is from business income. Okay, so depends upon their business operations, it determines their residential status also. Okay, suppose if the control and management of affairs of the family business is wholly or partly situated in India during the previous year, then HUF will become ordinarily resident. HUF will become ordinarily resident. HUF will become ordinarily resident. Control and management of affairs means the board meeting that taking place of board meeting in India. Suppose during the previous year, they have carried out 4 board meeting and 1 meeting is taken place in India. In such a case, the condition is satisfied. Okay, then HUF is ordinarily resident. HUF will become not ordinarily resident. Okay, sorry. Okay, in case of HUF, there are 3 status: ordinarily resident, not ordinarily resident, non-resident. Okay, HUF will become not ordinarily resident. That means they are also basic condition and additional condition. They have also HUF also or basic condition and additional condition. Basic condition is if the control and management of affairs of the business is partly or wholly situated in India. If the HUF satisfy this condition, then HUF will become not ordinarily resident. HUF will become not ordinarily resident. And the Karta of the family satisfies both the additional conditions exhibited in case of an individual. That means the Karta must had been in India for a period of had been in India as a resident at least 2 years out of 10 years. He is 10 years. Sorry, that means ഇത്രയേ ഉള്ളൂ. അതായത് ഒരു HUF-ന്റെ കേസിൽ 3 സ്റ്റാറ്റസ് ആണ് ഉണ്ടാകുക: ഓർഡിനറി റെസിഡന്റ്, നോട്ട് ഓർഡിനറി റെസിഡന്റ്, നോൺ റെസിഡന്റ്. അതിൽ control and management of affairs, if they satisfy the term control and management of affairs of the family is wholly or partly situated in India, then the HUF will become not ordinarily resident. Not ordinarily resident. Okay, then if the HUF fulfilled the basic condition along with the additional condition. Additional condition means the Karta had been in India as a resident at least 2 years out of 10 years during the previous year. At least if the Karta had been in India as a resident at least 2 years out of 10 years preceding the relevant previous year. This is the first additional condition. And the second additional condition is the Karta had been in India for a period of 730 days or more during 7 years preceding the relevant previous year. This is the second additional condition. And the HUF or the Karta satisfied both the additional condition, then the HUF will become ordinarily resident. Then the HUF will become ordinarily resident. Okay, and the HUF will become non-resident. Then the HUF will become non-resident when the control and management of its affairs is fully outside India. Is fully or wholly outside India. If the HUF is if the control and the management of the affairs of the family is situated wholly outside India during the previous year, in such a case, HUF will become non-resident. HUF will become non-resident. When we come to other persons, that means firm, company, society, okay, they have only 2 status: either resident or non-resident. Either resident or non-resident. They will become resident when control and management of affairs of the business is partly situated in India. partly situated in India, is fully outside India. The control and management of affairs is fully outside India, they will become non-resident. If it is a case of a company or a partnership firm or AOP or BOI, like that. Okay, yes. This is about residential status. Next, we have to understand what is meant by incidence of tax. Okay, we understood that an individual will have three status. Either he is a resident or not ordinarily resident or non-resident. Okay, you have to understand that if a person who receives income, that means if an individual, if a person who receives income, either it is accruing India or outside India. The person who receives income from India, whether it is accrued in India or outside India, it is fully taxable to all persons. Whether he is an ordinary resident or not ordinary resident or non-resident. Okay, clear. And the second one is a person who receives outside India, who receives income outside India, and the income and the source of income is India. But it is received outside India. It is taxable to all persons. Okay. Next, a person who receives income. Outside India. And the source of income is outside India. It is taxable to ordinary resident. Okay, clear? Yes. And the next, a person who receives income, and the source of income is from business. The source of income is business income, but it is controlled from India. A person who receives income outside India, and the source of income is income from business controlled from India. It is taxable to ordinarily resident and not ordinarily resident, and it is non-taxable to non-resident. Okay. And finally, past untaxed income, foreign income brought to India during the previous year, it is not taxable to all persons, whether he is ordinarily resident, not ordinarily resident, non-resident. Okay, you must aware, or you must prepare, or you must familiar with this question, incidence of tax. Okay, clear aanallo? Source of income India. അതായത് വരുമാനം ഉണ്ടാകുന്ന സ്രോതസ് ഇന്ത്യയാണ്. അത് ഇന്ത്യക്ക് പുറത്ത് വെച്ച് സ്വീകരിച്ചാലും ഇന്ത്യക്ക് അകത്ത് വെച്ച് സ്വീകരിച്ചാലും എല്ലാ ആൾക്കാർക്കും ടാക്സബിൾ ആണ്. ഓക്കെ, ഇനി ഇന്ത്യക്ക് പുറത്തുനിന്നുള്ള വരുമാനം ഇന്ത്യയിൽ വെച്ച് സ്വീകരിച്ചാലും എല്ലാ ആൾക്കാർക്കും ടാക്സബിൾ ആണ്. എന്താണ് ടാക്സബിൾ. ഇനി ഇന്ത്യക്ക് പുറത്തുള്ള വരുമാനം ഇന്ത്യക്ക് പുറത്ത് വെച്ച് സ്വീകരിച്ചാലും